Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, Shows World.
Welcome to Shows World Gamers, Josh here, and it is once again that time of the week. That's right, as this week draws to a close, I wanted to take a moment to look at a few of the biggest video game news stories that we got this week. We're also going to look at some of the biggest video game announcements that took place this last week. And of course, we will check out the biggest video game releases you're not going to want to miss. But do me a quick favor, if this is your first time on the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join in on the fun. Alright gamers, let's kick off this weekend review with a few news stories. And well, absolutely, the biggest news of this week, and really the biggest news of this year so far in the video game industry, is the release of the Nintendo Switch 2, as the next generation of Nintendo is finally upon us. And early reports are pointing to an absolute historic launch, as this is looking to be the biggest console release in history. Now, we had quite the adventure procuring our console, as my pre-order from Walmart was canceled at the last minute. Luckily, I rushed down to GameStop, jumped in line, and was able to get it at the midnight launch there. So I actually ended up getting it earlier than I would have through Walmart, so I guess it all worked out in the end. Now, we also received some Pokemon news this week, as we received the release date for Pokemon Legends ZA in a tweet which announced an official release date of October 16th, and the Switch 1 version of the game can be upgraded to the Switch 2 edition via an upgrade pack. Now, in addition to this news, the Pokemon Company also announced that the next Pokemon Present Showcase will take place on July 22nd. Now, we also have a number of huge gaming showcases this week, as Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest opening night takes place actually this evening, giving us a look at a bunch of upcoming games. And this Sunday, Microsoft will also be having a showcase unveiling upcoming games from their stable of studios, along with a special deep dive showcase following their regular showcase, looking specifically at Obsidian's next game, The Outer Worlds 2. Now, Sony kicked off the gaming showcase schedule with a state of play which kind of ended up being more on the underwhelming side. There were some good-looking games here like Horigami, Neo 3, Pragmata, and Romeo is a Dead Man, to name a few. My personal highlights were the announcement of, well, more DLC levels coming to Astrobot, which is awesome. We're definitely going to be playing those here on the channel. And a stellar-looking new trailer for Metal Gear Delta Snake Eater. I can't wait for that game to come out. And some cool fighting game announcements we will discuss in our gaming announcements section coming up. But for Sony's big June showcase, it definitely felt like it was lacking something. A lot of the games were 2026 games. I was overall a little disappointed. Next up, let's take a look at some gaming announcements, and we're going to start with Somber Echoes. It received an official console release date announcement trailer, with the game releasing on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series systems on July 8th. In the Metroidvania-style game, you will have to upgrade your character and search for secrets as you take the role of a resurrected Adrestria and embark on an epic journey to prevent your twin sister from unraveling the universe. Now, 007 First Light was announced this week, coming from IOI Studios, and we received an impressive looking trailer during the state of play. The game is explained as a whole new story that will delve into the origin story of James Bond, giving us a look at the early years of Bond as he earns his 00 status. The game is expected to come to the PlayStation 5, PC, Xbox Series systems, and is also confirmed for the Nintendo Switch 2 when it releases next year. Now, Marvel Token, I'm not sure exactly, it's Tokon, Fighting Souls received the big closeout spot at Sony's State of Play, and well, this game looks absolutely amazing. The game is scheduled to release on the PlayStation 5 and PC. Unfortunately, we have a bit of a wait, as it is scheduled with a 2026 release. The fighting game comes to us from Arc System Works, the developer of the Guilty Gear series, and is a 4 versus 4 over-the-top fighting game loaded with huge moves and a bunch of characters from the pages of your favorite Marvel comics. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection was also announced at the State of Play. The collection comes loaded with classic Mortal Kombat games, including Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate, Mortal Kombat 4, and more, with arcade, console, and Game Boy entries included in the game. The game is coming to PC via Steam, the Nintendo Switch 1, the Nintendo Switch 2, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems when it releases later this year. Now, we also received the announcement of Suda51's next game. Romeo is a dead man at the State of Play. The game is being called an ultra-violent sci-fi action game. The trailer shows off a super stylized game with a gameplay style that will look familiar to fans of other Suda51 games like the No More Heroes series. I'm going to keep my eye on this title. It looks like it still needs some polish before it releases next year on the PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series systems. But like I said, it doesn't release till next year, so it still has some time. This could go either way. This could be an absolute banger, or it could be kind of rough like the last No More Heroes game was. Alright gamers, let's finish up this week in review with a few video game releases. And there was a ton of releases this week with the launch of the Switch 2, but we'll talk about a few of those here. And we're going to start with the biggest release this week, Mario Kart World, released this week alongside the Nintendo Switch 2 and is an exclusive to the new console. Taking the beloved series into the future with a huge open world, huge tracks, missions, and brand new mechanics. Once again, moving the bar of kart racing to a whole new level. I am absolutely loving the game, and this has jumped to the top of my short list for 2025 Game of the Year. I'm having an absolute blast with this game. We're playing it here on the channel, so definitely check out some of those videos. This is a must play for 2025. Now, the release of the Nintendo Switch 2 also gave us new Nintendo Switch Online services. Most notably, the release of a whole new console added to the classic gaming library, as we now have the GameCube as part of the service. Although this is for Switch 2 only and is not available on the original Nintendo Switch. The initial game lineup consists of 3 games, and, well, they're all absolute bangers, with The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, Soul Calibur, and my personal favorite in the franchise, F-Zero GX. And there are many more games on the way that they have shown off, and I am hyped. I'm playing GameCube games all this weekend. Gonna have a blast with it. Now, we also did get the release of some huge games for the Nintendo Switch 2 that had skipped the original Switch because of power limitations. Most notably, Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, which includes the original version of the game as well as the Phantom Liberty expansion, and Street Fighter VI Years 1-2 Fighters Edition, which includes the full original game, including some additional fighters. Now, Survival Kids also was a launch game on the Nintendo Switch 2. As the game implies, you will find yourself stranded on a series of unique islands set upon the back of a giant Wordles, but not necessarily alone. You will work together with up to 4 players online or 2 players in local co-op to explore, chop, craft, fish, cook, and solve your way to safety, all the while surviving everything the island throws at you. Now, we also had a bunch of Switch 1 games that are getting enhanced Switch 2 versions, with the enhanced versions of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, as well as The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, being launch releases, with both titles receiving faster load times, improved frame rates, better resolutions, and more. And if you already have the games, you can, I think, pay to upgrade them. Or if you have the Nintendo Switch Online service, those upgrades are at no additional cost. Alright gamers, that concludes this week in review for the week ending on June 6th. The week started with the hype at an absolute fever pitch as we anticipated the future of Nintendo only days away from being bestowed upon the masses. Then the Nintendo Switch 2 finally released, with what appeared to be more consoles available at launch than what was initially expected. And the week ended with us exploring and having a ton of fun in the first ever open world Mario Kart game as we look to dominate the kart racing world in Mario Kart World. But let me know anything we may have missed in the comments, and thanks for joining us today, gamers. Do me a favor, if you're new, hit that subscribe button, and we hope to see you on that next video. Shoach World, out.